So, true crime is just one of a number of things that I follow on YouTube. I love watching car restoration shows. I love comedy. I love music stuff, all sorts of stuff. And I do enjoy videos that are psychology based. This video popped up in my feed this week and I found it really interesting. In this video, she discusses a thing called narcissistic supply. This is basically what drives a narcissist, where they get to feel those intrinsic rewards, what makes them feel good. The funny thing was, the whole time I was listening to what she was saying, my brain just kept going, yeah, it sounds like she's talking about Meghan Cole. The link for her video is in the description, and I highly recommend going and listening to it. Here, I've used a few segments from this video that I think people are going to find quite interesting, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that sees how much what she's saying relates back to Meghan Cole.
There's a reason why a lot of people, after dealing with someone who's narcissistic, will end up going to therapy because they are just completely exhausted, and chances are they're probably trying to also figure out what just happened. What did I just go through? This type of relationship, and they start learning so much about unhealthy relationships, not just narcissistic ones.
I've lost track of the number of times I've heard people saying that it does their head in listening to Meghan Cole. I've had conversations with people who have said she would drive you to drink, or people who have said that they felt like they needed to start smoking cigarettes again from listening to her. It is exhausting and it is hard work listening to Meghan Cole.
There are those people that are also dealing with so much backlash where this person is basically trying to create stories that make you look like the bad person. They want everyone to hate you. They want everyone to hear their side of the story and have sympathy for them because they want to feel like they're the victim.
Every single creator who's ever mentioned Meghan's name has found themselves in the firing line. She's managed to come up with a smear campaign for every single person who doesn't agree with her narrative or who doesn't go into her live chats and support her blindly. And yes, she's not concerned about whether or not things she's saying are factual. Her concern is to make people look as bad as she possibly can make them look, while at the same time making herself look like a victim. She's trying to make everyone else who speaks about her look like horrible, horrible people. And actually, I've heard her say that specific term, referring to a creator as a horrible, horrible person.
There are a lot of reasons why someone would do this, not just someone who's narcissistic, but people who are just a little unhealthy and have some defense mechanisms will do these things as well, where they want everyone to hate you, to despise you, to make you look like you're the bad person in this situation. Most narcissistic type of personalities, this is basically just a manipulative tactic. It could also be a defense mechanism to kind of cover up what they actually did in the relationship, which most often than not, that is the case. Most people don't like to sit in what they actually did throughout the course of a relationship. They don't want to take the blame. They don't want to self-reflect. They don't want to say, you know what, I actually didn't do a really good job of this, or I did this wrong. They would just rather create a story to deflect so they don't have to feel any guilt or shame.
So, looking at this in terms of Meghan Cole, I think that it is definitely a manipulative strategy. It's something that she's obviously used in the past with success. She has people who listen to her on her channel and who give her encouragement when she stirs up hatred, so that she knows that this is an effective way of covering up for her own mistakes, actions, words. It is a defense mechanism for Meghan Cole. She gets caught out with her lies and half-truths. People call her out on her less than admirable behaviours. And to all these things, she's realised that rather than admit that she's made a mistake done something wrong, said the wrong thing, whatever. Instead, she turns around and tries to stir up hatred. It is out and out deflection. We've seen it countless times with Meghan Cole. She doesn't want to take the blame. She won't self-reflect. Or if she does, she won't admit to it publicly. And she won't admit guilt. Instead, she prefers to go on the attack. This way, by deflecting and accusing others of being at fault, of being cruel, of victimizing her, she can avoid admitting any sort of guilt.
Now, either way, no matter what the reasonings are or why this is happening, I know it's incredibly frustrating. It's also really exhausting to have to look at a person and realize that you don't even know this person. The fact that they're even capable of creating stories that you know are not true is a hard thing to have to go through. You have to understand that some people's egos are so incredibly fragile that by torturing other people or by creating a story that is just false helps them. You now become their emotional punching bag, and in some levels, they feel dominant over you. They're controlling you because they're dictating how you feel about yourself.
We've seen how delighted Meghan becomes when she's stirring up hatred or when she's coming up with tales about creators that she doesn't like. She definitely feels that she has some sort of power happening there. And in doing this, she is showing us just how very fragile her ego is. In order to feel worthwhile, and in order to hide her own shame over her words and actions, she has to go on the attack and try and feel that she has power over those people who make her feel the way that she does. She even goes as far as claiming that she is a better person than all these people that she criticizes and that she stirs up hatred towards. For her, there's a need to make herself feel like a bigger person and to convince her listeners that she's the better person.
Your pain means that they're controlling you, and they actually like the way that makes them feel. They're not concerned with how you feel and that you're actually suffering. This isn't about that. This is just about the fact that they can control you. They have control over how you feel in every single moment, whether you're happy, whether you're sad, which is basically narcissistic supply. So narcissistic supply, when we learn about this, we typically just think like, okay, I'm gonna make this person feel good, so I'm a good source of narcissistic supply. Well, you could also be a good source of narcissistic supply and feel like crap, and they can have control over you, meaning you could be having a perfectly lovely day and they can come in, say something or do something, and it dictates how you feel for the rest of the day, meaning they've completely ruined your day. Guess what? You're still a good source of narcissistic supply. They don't care about the fact that you're in pain because they have absolutely no empathy. They just care that they have control.
So, narcissistic supply is basically what feeds the narcissist, what makes them feel good. It might be people giving them compliments. We've all seen how delighted Meghan gets when people on her channel tell her that she's all these wonderful things and tell her that, poor you, you're such a victim. This is narcissistic supply. They're giving her positive feedback and it makes her feel good. And yes, it is also narcissistic supply for her when she can come out and say things about creators or supporters of creators that are negative and make her feel good because it makes her feel superior and powerful. So for Meghan Cole, there is just as much narcissistic supply in her being able to tear people down, to create hatred, to make up stories that make her feel powerful and superior.
A lot of people think that they just enjoy watching you suffer, and that's not really the case. I mean, I guess in a really sick way, they kind of do, but this isn't really about your pain. This is just about the influence that they have over you. Anyone who is not healthy or narcissistic or whatever that looks like and behaves in this way, where they're spreading rumors, where they want people to look at you in a negative way. They want you to be the problem so they look like they're the hero or they're the victim. These are people that are just out for revenge, seeking revenge because of something that you weren't able to give them or you were no longer giving them. This is their way of kind of getting back at you for doing or not doing something. Now I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, Steph, if narcissistic supply is either me thinking they're amazing or me just, feeling upset because of what they did, then what difference does it make? Why do they want to seek revenge? Well, here's the thing. If you gave narcissistic supply that was good, meaning you didn't hold them accountable, you did everything right, you are a god, right? That's how you view this person. And all of a sudden you just stop viewing them in that way. They still need to get supply from you. So here we go. Now I'm going to seek revenge. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to cause you some amount of pain because I need to get still supply from you, and now it's going to be drama. Now it's going to be negative. A lot of the tantrum that's being played is because they have suffered. They're suffering in some way because you're not giving them what it is that they once gave them, or that they actually did something wrong and they don't want to own that. So them hurting you is just their way of wanting you to suffer because now they're suffering.
So for Meghan Cole, when people question the things she's said, or they point out contradictions or outright lies, they're depriving her of narcissistic supply. She's not getting that positive source of adrenaline. It's not a positive experience for her. So she needs to find a way to regain her narcissistic supply. Obviously, if someone is criticizing her or pointing out where she's made mistakes or showing up her lies, she knows she can't get that in a positive way. They're not going to turn around and praise her. So for her, the source of narcissistic supply is the gossip, the made up stories, building up hatred, all those sorts of things, because that makes her feel powerful and feeds her ego, while at the same time allowing her to deflect from what's really at the base of the issue. It's her way of avoiding guilt and blame.
Whatever they're doing and saying is just what they always have done, which is to try to convey a story to prove that they're actually the victim. I mean, this is just like manipulation 101. So you cannot take any of this personally. This isn't about you. This is just about how much can they sway people to be on their side. I do want you to also understand, what is their motivation for doing what they're doing? Is it a defense mechanism because they did something wrong during the course of that relationship and they don't want to sit in how that's making them feel, and so this is the route that they're taking? Are they narcissistic and at some point you looked at them in a certain way and now you just are not, and they still need to get supply from you, so they're going to pick at you and try to trigger you in some way to get some kind of reaction from you?
I think we can say yes to all of the above. And definitely, one of the major motivations for the way that Meghan picks at creators and their supporters is because she does get narcissistic supply from watching people's reactions. I haven't watched that big 10-hour live, but from what I gather, she reached a point where she was actually watching Mrs. G's live stream, reacting to her own horrid behaviour and getting great delight over how upset she was making people.
Now, a side note, if you are dealing with someone and there is a legal situation happening or some kind of court situation, it is so incredibly important to document. Document where you see the threats, where you see the manipulation, where you see all of those unhealthy things that are going down between the two of you that you can then show as evidence.
I threw this bit in on the end, not just for creators, but also for people who follow creators who are not Meghan's favourite people. I've seen some of the things she's said about people who simply go into other people's chats and who are not pro Meghan. She can be pretty vicious. But yes, definitely, for all creators, record everything. Keep every detail. Okay? If she talks about you on one of her live streams, if she comes up with lies or creates rumors, do a screenshot of the title of that live stream. Do a screenshot of the date of that live stream. Save the link to that live stream. And yes, I know that most of the time, when she knows that she's done something really bad, she will go and she'll delete that live stream. But that doesn't prevent you from using it as evidence that she's doing the wrong thing. If you've got screenshots showing the title and the date, if you've saved the link for that live stream, and most importantly, if you've recorded the relevant section of that live stream, then really that's all you need to prove your case. It's better to simply sit back when she's coming up with all this bullshit and save it all, file it all, rather than respond to her. Because when you respond to her, you're giving her narcissistic supply. She feels powerful. She feels like she's winning. When she's being nasty and behaving badly, she's doing it to get a hit for herself, to feel powerful. Realistically, she is simply showing us just how very fragile her ego is and how very much she does not want to admit to her mistakes or failings.